NewsNation border report new this morning a plea for help from the mayor of New York as immigrants overwhelm shelters in America's largest city. This follows similar complaints from Washington, D.C.'s Mayor Muriel Bowser. Both she and Mayor Eric Adams say that new immigrants to the country, part of the unprecedented number of those crossing into the country for asylum, are putting a strain on local resources. Our Joe Khalil live in Washington. I'm sure, Joe, that border towns and states nearest Mexico, which have been saying the same thing for years, are thinking maybe now Washington, D.C. will pay attention.
Well, you know, when it comes to New York City, Adrienne, they want to help, but the question is, where do you house these folks and how do you do it? You know, the mayor, Eric Adams, held a press conference yesterday about an hour long just on homelessness. It's a huge problem right now in New York City. In fact, their homeless services department says they've got about 48,000 people every single day. Think of that number, 48,000 every day that rely on these shelters just to have a roof over their heads. So the system is already overburdened. So add to that now this new population of migrants who are seeking asylum. Eric Adams says in the last 6 weeks or so, they've gotten about 2,800 of them, many directed to New York City by the federal government. But he also says that most of them have been directed by state officials in Arizona and in Texas. And now New York City's mayor says they need help.
We need not only federal government, but we need some of those states that have been giving people one-way tickets. We need them to understand that this must be a partnership in this country to deal with those who are coming here seeking refuge or asylum. You know, New York is going to do its share, but we have an overburdened shelter system now.
And Mayor Adams says New York City is going to do its part on a humanitarian level. Again, they want to help. They actually have a city ordinance in place called Right to Shelter, which means that anybody who is seeking a roof over their heads, who doesn't have one, is entitled to one by the city's rules. They will be guaranteed one. But he says in order for this to happen, in order for the city to help these migrants, they're going to need help from the federal government. They want resources and they want extra dollars, which is almost exactly the message that we heard from Washington, D.C.'s Mayor Muriel Bowser just a couple of days ago. Adrienne,
exactly
Mitch?
The message that we've been hearing from border towns all along for years is that they want to help too, but there's absolutely no way that the infrastructure of our towns and cities can actually supply the resources that so many thousands of people crossing into the country for asylum and illegally need. So it's going to be really interesting to see what the federal government does. Thank you very much, Joe. Really into this story because it's just like the same messaging, but now it's hitting East Coast cities.
So the town of Gila Bend in Arizona, it's south of Phoenix by about an hour, it declared a state of emergency when they saw a migrant surge because they said exactly what you just said. We don't have the resources to handle these people. The mayor declared a state of emergency. I haven't followed up to see what they've done since, but that was about a year ago. Certainly, it's not just New York City and Washington that are having trouble with infrastructure and handling these migrants.
Which is what Texas and Arizona and other states have been saying. So, and thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.